Welcome to Storytime with Taluli. Today's reading comes from r/TalesFromTechSupport. Our first story is titled, Watching in Horror Over Zoom as Someone Nearly Deletes a Production Database. I work for a software development agency. One of our biggest clients, an FX payments company, went into administration. It was a huge cluster F. The company was holding money for hundreds of clients, and the administrators needed to wade through all the app's transaction data to work out who they owe money to, sometimes thousands per user. All this data was stored in an AWS Aurora database cluster, which had been automated daily backups, multi-AZ deployments, and read replicas, idiot-proof. What I failed to realize was the administrators' sheer determination to screw up. We offered to help them sort out the AWS account. The server bill was huge, and most of it was unnecessary now the company wasn't trading. We could do a few hours work and save them thousands in hosting. We got no response. About a week later, we get automatically forwarded a bunch of past due warnings from AWS. We send them to the administrator. Nothing. AWS suspends the account. No more database. The administrators panic, find the money from somewhere, and their tech guy reinstates the database. All the data is wrong. They call us in a panic, and we look at it. Turns out their tech guy found the database snapshots and created a new database from them. Only instead of taking the latest of the daily automated backups, he decided to pick a 5-year-old manual snapshot instead. We fix it. Everyone makes mistakes, right? Fast forward to today, 2 months later. We get another panicked call. They can't see any data in the database. I jump on a video call and their tech guy shares his screen. I'm looking at a local database schema in my SQL workbench. It has no tables in it. Their tech guy had exported the AWS database to his local machine. He then deleted the AWS database cluster. His local database was the only remaining copy of the production schema, and it was empty. Fighting the rising sense of dread, my last hope was that he'd exported the database successfully and he'd just screwed up importing it into MySQL. Still, on screen share, I asked him to open the original database dump. Hopefully, we could try importing it again. My home connection is crappy. I could see his screen, but at this moment, the audio cut out completely. This is important because nobody could hear me scream as their tech guy hit the save as icon instead of the open icon. I watched, helpless, as he navigated to the only inactive copy of the production database, which he was about to overwrite with whatever junk was in his editor. It was only at the final moment, as his mouse hovered over the save button, that he heard my stream of 4-letter words and stopped what he was doing. The data was intact, but he still has the only copy, just waiting to be effed up once more. Today is a whiskey day. Edit clarified that he stopped at the last minute. That is nuts. Unfortunately, this is what you have to deal with sometimes in that world. Our next story is titled, Good News, You Can Cancel Your Vacation. Background, I'm a software developer / consultant, and at the time I was working on a long-term project. This happened years ago. In February, I got approval to take vacation time in September, and I immediately started booking / paying for everything. More details below. Our scheduled go live was first week of August, which I had taken into account. So my plan had me going on vacation 1 month after that. Unfortunately, after numerous delays, go live gets moved to the first week of my vacation. About 5 days before I depart, at this point, I'm literally counting down the hours to our departure, the project manager comes up to me and totally out of nowhere, this happens. Project manager, good news! I just got approval for you to move your vacation. Now you can be here for go live. Me, wait, what? Sorry, that's neither possible nor good news. No, it's fine. We fully reimburse you for everything that you cannot get a full refund on, and we'll even allow you to roll those vacation days over if you need to, which you probably will. Okay, so off the top of my head, you'll be covering 2 plane tickets to European City A, Airbnb in European City B, Airbnb in European City C, accommodation at a winery in European City D, train tickets to a different country, a boutique hotel in European City E, Airbnb in European City F, and 2 return flights back from European City G. I can, however, still cancel both of my rental cars and get a full refund? Project manager's mouth's open. You planned and paid for all that? Yes, 6 months ago, immediately after I requested this time off. This trip required a lot of planning and coordination, and the places we're going are high demand / low availability, so most require advance payment. On top of that, the time of year is important, so even if I could get refunds, we can't just shift things a few weeks. We'd have to wait an entire year. Oh, I thought you and your wife might just be going on a cruise and you could reschedule it. No, cruises aren't my style. Whenever I go on vacation, I always tell everyone that I will be completely unreachable. I thought you understood that was a statement of fact and not just me being difficult. Is there anything else, or should I keep closing out defects before I go on vacation? Yeah, do that. What blows my mind is how he thought canceling my vacation just a few days before departure was good news. Did he think I was going to respond with, awesome! I can keep rolling in here to deal with your BS instead of going on magical vacation I spent a month planning and have been dreaming about all day long for the past few months. Great news! I know I probably could have gotten refunds on some of that stuff, but F that. I would have turned in my 2 weeks before skipping out on that trip. Jeez! It's amazing how clueless some people are in the workforce. They're just like, oh, everything's about me and what I need to get done for my bonus. And it's like, no, you're being a turd. Our next story is titled, This PC Isn't Used by Anybody, So We Can Unplug It. This isn't story of mine, but my mother's from the time she worked as tech support for a super big 3-letter firm. Background. My mom worked in 1990s in this firm as a server tech support. Also, I'm not from the US, but Czech Republic. One day she received a call, one of state agencies, that their systems is not working at all. So she drove to the town to investigate. The conversation looked something like this. Cast. Mom. Office worker. Mom. So what is the problem? I can turn on the computer, but I can't even log in. This happens to all of us on all the computers. Mom confirms that it is true and goes to see the server. When she walks in, she can see dark server with cloth and coffee pot on it, not to mention table and chairs in the super small room. Why did you unplug the server? Oh, we thought that it's not needed since nobody works on this computer and this is the only air-conditioned room in the building. So we made it our rest area. The outcome. This happened again a few weeks later. This time, Mom was able to determine by phone they replaced server with a fridge. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's so funny. I mean, it was the 90s, right? I mean, tech was not near as commonplace as it is now, so they probably had no idea what that thing was. Our next story is titled, What Was That? What Did You Just Do? First time posting here. In my junior year at college 3 years ago, I had to complete an unpaid internship for a nonprofit as a course credit in order to complete my major. It was only 10 hours a week and was assigned quasi-randomly. I was ecstatic to find out that I was working for a nonprofit that needed help in streaming their Google Sheets experience. One of the few things I was very comfortable with. On my first day, I get the lay of the office, and this sweet old administrative assistant begins sharing the Google Drive folders with me. She was a retired teacher who volunteered full-time at this organization that mentors students. Poking through the spreadsheets, I discovered they had 40+ sheets they share with local schools and had tons of student data. None of it was sensitive. Over the course of the semester, I helped automatically scrape every single sheet and import it into a new master sheet while calculating specific data for each month that this older volunteer had to do manually every week. However, what I remember the most was that I showed her that first day on accident. I opened the largest spreadsheet they had, which was about 10,000 rows. It was also their most viewed spreadsheet around the small office. This sweet old volunteer is over my shoulder watching me as I bounce around the sheet. As I scroll through all this data, I instinctively click View Freeze One Row so I know what I'm looking at as I scroll down. She stops me and says, "What was that? What did you just do?" I just froze the top row? I need you to show me how to do that. She then gestures me to follow her into her office and she booted up her Chromebook. In that moment, I saw the most clever and adorable solution of this age-old problem. This 65-year-old woman had taped a thin strip of notebook paper with each column header written out and the pencil along the top bezel of her laptop. That's so awesome. She mentioned how often she used that spreadsheet and she was always getting lost when she scrolled through it. She looked at me and said, "Well, don't I look silly?" and proceeded to tear that thin strip of notebook paper off of her laptop. I just smiled while I watched her open up every other Google Sheet she used to freeze the top row. Oh, that's awesome. You taught her a nice little trick, and it probably made her life so much better. Oh, that's a good story. I like that. Our next story is titled, Where Internet Comes From and Why Wi-Fi is Evil. Hello, TFT. I recently finally finished my apprenticeship. To celebrate, let me share probably the weirdest thing that happened to me while trying to become a techie. Years ago, I was working for a school, multiple buildings, a couple hundred students, few dozen teachers. Besides me, there were always 2 other apprentices. For the most part, we were asked with manning the phones and dealing with only basic stuff, to the point that officially you were not allowed to plug or unplug anything unless one of the bosses gave you the go-ahead first, which was fine for the most part since I'm reasonably certain I solved 80% of my cases with a simple reboot. One of my bigger projects was installing Wi-Fi and ensuring that the entire main building had coverage. At first, everything was dandy as people were enjoying finally being able to connect wirelessly, but after a few months, we started getting complaints. I want that thing gone. That thing being access points. It was an old building and most rooms were used for classes or offices for teachers. There was a limit where we could put them since it had been decided putting them in the halls would make it more likely for students to vandalize them, something that happened a lot. One of the teachers had apparently read online that the waves sent out by APs were harmful. I remember that I had to really try hard not to laugh at the guy because he called it internet energy at one point. Not too bad, meant literally his office and his classroom didn't have any coverage, but then more complaints kept coming in, as more people were kindly informed about the harmful influence. It got progressively dumber too. Initially, they said that APs would cause headaches and eventually it escalated to them apparently causing cancer. No, really, I had people yell at me for that. Apprentices were not allowed to talk back in any way, even if the people we spoke to, or more commonly, the people yelling at us, were probably wrong. So every time another complaint came up, I had to call down into our department, get the boss on the line, confirm that I had to remove the AP, and then just do that. He didn't really want to argue this with any of the teachers either. The fact that we caved immediately and just removed the AP seemed to just reaffirm the people complaining that they were correct. So little by little, we had to remove around 80% of the previously placed APs. The only 2 places that had coverage in the end were our department and the director's office. Quote, even if they do, I ain't afraid of no cancer. Which hilariously meant that both of these places would be insanely crowded during breaks. I frequently had to muscle my way through 2 dozen teenagers to get my coffee back to my station. About 6 months later, one of the old teachers retired and was replaced. When he wondered aloud in the break room why only 2 places in the building had coverage, I told him the answer. That's dumb, he said. I've worked in IT before and would never believe that. Could you put a new AP up on my floor, please? And so we did, and in the same week, we started getting requests to put the others back too. Oh, that's gotta be annoying. Well, at least they kept you busy with work, you know? So, oh man, that's terrible. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. That's ridiculous. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you enjoy these types of videos, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that bell for notifications so you know when more videos come out. If you'd like to join our Discord, we have an amazing community full of awesome people. The link for that's in the description below, along with all of my other social media links if you'd like to follow me on different places of the internet as well. Hope you're staying safe out there, and with that being said, we'll see you next time.